Welcome to my talk, Robots and Zombies. So my name is Stacy Vetzel. I'm the founder of a company called Mogility Inc. We started life as a custom software consultancy, which we divested a couple of years back in order for me to pursue my coaching practice and our own product development. So I've been a hacker for a very, very long time. I've worked in a lot of different programming languages in a lot of different environments. But the common theme is I tend to be frustrated with the state of software development in our industry. I think our industry is in crisis. This industry desperately needs diverse participation. And thus I am working to inspire new people to enter the field, especially people with diverse backgrounds. So the unspoken detail here, because it isn't normally professionally relevant, but I've brought it a little bit into this talk, is that I was assigned male at birth. So the specific opportunity for me here is, in doing this talk, inspiring folks from the transgender community to join this field and bring their voices and bring their experience. One thing that I'll often say to cisgender audiences, in order to understand a little bit about the transgender experience, is, if you're here and you're a dude, imagine being so easily mistaken for a woman that you had to pretend to be one to live your life. As a dude, that would be pretty frustrating. And that is kind of the core of a lot of transgender people's experience, and certainly the root of my experience. But on with the presentation. So, no matter how many labels we wear, some part of us will be invisible behind those labels. Some of these labels are slapped onto us, some we choose to wear, some we wear in shame, some we wear like armor. We can wear them like a badge of honor. So this is one of the labels that I wear proudly. Think about what labels you wear. So this talk is in and around the Agile software development community, because I was taking part in something recently and was struck with the sentiment of, we wanted to hold a retrospective, and the feedback that we received was, well, no, if we go to a retrospective, we're going to have to talk about feelings, and we don't do that here. Somehow this topic is taboo. Why? Why do we hate to talk about this kind of thing? And let's look at the Agile Manifesto for a minute. You'll find my dead name as a signatory. Dead name means my name before I transitioned to my felt gender. You'll find that as a signatory on the Agile Manifesto back in February 2002. When I first read it, when I first found this, the idea that software development had more to do with people than programming, it blew my mind. This was new to me, and this was awesome. I completely glomped onto this. So, if you think about these things, feelings could play a part in the phrases to the right, but they're far more at play in the phrases on the left. Individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, responding to change. Feelings play a big part in all of these things that we take as core to Agile software development. So let's think about zombies, right? So what are zombies? Zombies are run by instincts. They feel something. In fact, they don't really think, or do they think? Is feeling or is instinct, is that thinking? But really, they feel and then they act. They don't really have a capacity for logic or reasoning. So, think about robots. Now, robots are all logic, right? In fact, a science fiction fan like myself, we are taught from a young age that we can make a robot explode by just giving it a problem it can't reason through, right? So, robots reason. They're ruthlessly computational. They compute, and then they act. But emotions, feelings, they don't compute. We often are reduced to logic, aren't we? In our day-to-day work, sometimes we like to think that we can operate without feelings or emotion. Can we really? One of the ways you see this is in thinking of people as resources. Are you a resource on a team? People aren't resources. A log is a resource. You can cut a log in half and have two useful things. So, we're humans. Humans. I will channel Quark from Deep Space Nine because I'm a geek. Here, we can do both, right? We can think, we can feel, and then we can act. So in this case, intersectionality, the idea of being able to feel and being able to think, reinforces or amplifies our ability to do great things, right? It gives us special abilities like courage. I don't think we would have courage if we couldn't both think and feel. So feelings we're stuck with, right? We can't turn them off. Despite what we tell ourselves, despite what society tells us, despite what our boss tells us, what our customers tell us, right? Feelings won't go away if we just tell them to. Do we want them to? Really, they are our superpower, right? How do you feel about this? If you ask this question, sometimes in software we talk about code smells. You're looking at a piece of code. I don't like the way this looks. It feels wrong to me. It's too long. It's too short. The variable names seem weird. I don't know. I get a feeling about this code. And sometimes we call them code smells when we see anti-patterns. Versus, what do you think about this? Right? So, can we analyze the possibilities? I mean, if you ask these two questions, you could get two different answers. But the thing to really latch onto here is you feel faster than you think. You'll get that feeling about your code faster than you will looking at it and analyzing it. And the reason for this is really well laid out in Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. So, in his book, he outlines two parts about our psychology. The system one he calls, which is our faculties that make quick decisions. They're very fast. They kind of match patterns based on previous experience and preliminary input. And system two, which is our reasoning or computational faculties. And they work slower, but they can reach more informed conclusions. And transgender people, they especially folks that lack what we call passing privilege, and that we aren't immediately recognized as our felt gender, and gender nonconforming folks or gender creative who know this really well when they walk into a situation and they get misgendered. Somebody mistakes them for a different gender than they are. They understand that, this happens a lot. And often this is people's system one. So the fast, snap decision comes forward and based on someone's appearance comes up with a wrong assumption. And then it takes time, and we hope eventually their system 2 catches up and reasons through the situation and finds a more informed conclusion. But for trans folks, this can be some friction right off the bat. It can be frustrating. So, give yourself permission to feel. We don't have to be these robotic things working in our code, in our jobs, in our day-to-day lives and meetings. Give yourself and your team permission to have these feelings. Imagine you wouldn't, shut off half your faculties if you wanted to perform at your best. Certainly you need your whole self present. And your feelings are a big part of what makes us human, what makes us be able to reason through and feel through situations. And there's a lot of invisible wisdom in our feelings that are based on our real past experiences. And the trick there is recognizing that everybody has different past experiences, and so people might have different feelings. So why do we feel awkward about feeling? I think one of the big reasons is they drive us places we don't want to go sometimes. We get a feeling and we don't, we're embarrassed by it, or we want to backpedal from it, or what have you. They make us feel a little vulnerable. They linger. We can carry a feeling from one situation to a completely different situation, and that is awkward sometimes. So they come from our emotional state or continuum, as well as our system 1 responses to the input that we're getting at that point in time. Maybe that's why we fear zombies, I don't know. And now let's talk a little bit about practice. I'm a big fan of kata. So, first off, beware of the anchoring effect. Expressions like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Those are rubbish. Science says it's not true. Scientific belief is around the idea that increased neural activity promotes the growth of myelin in the brain. We can build and improve our performance no matter what age we are. And over time, kata, so this idea of, in software, practicing an exercise, taking a simple problem and solving the problem over and over and over again. Once we've solved that problem 10 times, 100 times, the focus comes less to solving the problem and more on how we solve the problem. And that's what makes us better developers. When we repeat kata, we are training our system 1. We're reinforcing the patterns, what code, we're looking at this code. Is it good, is it bad, how I feel about it? Once we've seen so many bad situations, well, it becomes easier to have that feeling surface and have that understanding. But we have to teach that. We have to teach ourselves what's good, what's bad. And when you're reading a book on programming, you're not engaging your System 1 brain. This only happens with practice. So you can read a book, but you'll be reading that with your System 2 brain. You'll be analyzing what it's saying, and you'll take, say, a design pattern into your mind, but you won't be able to access it with the same speed through System 2. You have to have taught it to your System 1 brain, and that happens with practice. And so the last thing that I'd like to say is I believe that perfect practice makes perfect. And that just means that when you're practicing, remember that it's about the journey. It's about how you're building the code rather than the solving the problem itself. And go carefully. Do good things when you practice. And you will gain practice in doing good things. And the good things will come easier. And so, perfect practice makes perfect. Doing good kata often will help you teach your System 1 brain how to code better.